Greetings, Rene Phillips here with the Chess Gym, bringing you both audio and video instruction on the series Tactics that can result from open rook files or opening rook files against the enemy king. As we stated before, you always, when buying a home, want to choose and go by and take a little drive by in the daytime and nighttime and make sure that that area is a decent area. Make sure that it is conducive to raising a family. And the same holds true in the game of chess. You don't want to castle in an unsafe neighborhood. And this is not coming from something that I've heard. I've spent 22 years as a law enforcement officer, detective, policeman, top cop, bodyguard, you name it, I've done it. And I am telling you from experience, telling you what I know, baby. Don't castle, don't move to neighborhoods where there are open rook files or the potential for opening a rook file exists. Only castle in areas where you can maintain the safety of your household. Remember, we promised you that we come back with another game. The last game we did in the Rook Tactics version 1 was against a national master. We are going to step it up. We will show a position, a rook file that was open, and a sparkling checkmate that resulted in a rated blitz game at 3 minutes. And yes, it was against one of the top players, international players in the U.S., who will go unnamed simply because I don't want to hear all the flack of, hey man, why did you put that game on the internet? I won't divulge his name unless he watches this video and challenges me to a match. Just kidding. Appreciate you. And look, I thank him for the opportunity of having the opportunity to play him, and let me say that the resulting checkmate wasn't a stroke of brilliance on my part, but it's come at the result of losing and blowing many similar positions against much lesser opposition. So having said that, let's get into our game. In fact, this time we're going to switch the board around because I had the white pieces in this particular game. My opponent played c5. I played c3 and bolstered the center. He in turn played knight to f6. I played bishop to f4, ushering in the London system. He played e6. I bolstered the center again with e3. My opponent played b6 with positions that are akin to a Queen's Indian attack. Queen's Indian defense. I played knight to f3. He played bishop to b7. Look at the diagonal that black bishop is on. I played queen's knight to d2, and he played bishop to e7, looking to castle, no doubt, very soon. I played bishop to d3. My opponent castles, who is a great tactician. And can you guess what my move is going to be here? I'm looking for a waiting move. I don't want to disclose to black what side of the board that I'm castling on. And if you saw our previous video, you would know that we are against, and I am not an advocate or a proponent of making waiting moves that make little or no sense. Yes, a3 is a nice waiting move, but it makes what? No sense. h3 is a waiting move, and it makes a little bit more sense because in the aftermath of knight to h5 attempting to win the bishop, h3 provides a love square for the bishop, and I can hide at h2. But if you saw the video, the first video on the Rook's File tactics, you would know that there is a beautiful waiting move that not only conceals what side of the board that I'm going to castle on, but provides a beautiful battery of queen and bishop on the diagonal. Yep, you got it. That's right. The move here is queen to e2. Very good. My opponent responded with d5. Now, you know what? That looks great, and I'm not questioning the move of an international master because obviously he has traveled to parts that I have not been to, and no, I'm not an international master. The highest I've ever obtained rating-wise is a national master, but I'm not a chump. And guess what? No, I'm not an international master or GM, but I can keep GMs and IMs off me. I know that much. I don't have to be one, but I can keep them off me. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Well, I just had to throw that in, just in case IMs or GMs thought I was beginning to worship them. Not! I can play with the best of them, baby, because I apply the ABCs of chess. After D5, it gains space, but it closes off the center. My response is H4, the center's closed, why not? Now, this is a move that I see lots of people make, the upcoming move for black, C4. It gains space, and it's the beginning of an onslaught on the queen side. But remember, I haven't declared what side of the board I'm going to castle on. It becomes pretty obvious and suggestive that after H4, I'm not going to castle on the king side. But C4 does this. It closes the center. The way to counterattack a flank attack, i.e. H4, H5, is by counterattacking in the center. So, by playing C4, black is staking his game and placing all of his bets on the fact that he will be able to get to my king on the queen side quicker and faster than I will be able to get to his king that's already positioned on the king side. Bishop to C2 is a good move. Mind you, remember, my bishops are posted where they're not impeded by any of their own pawns or pieces, just like in the last game. Bishop at E7, one part of its diagonal is blocked by the knight. The bishop on B7, the diagonal is blocked by the pawn. And let's look at the bishops that I have. Okay, my bishop's blocked by nothing. The bishop at C2 is blocked by nothing. And they both radiate power, and the range extends in both directions. My opponent played A5, obviously staking claim on an advance of the queenside pawns. I played knight to E5, locking down the center, making sure that there will be no counterattack in the center. My opponent plays A4, and now I need to begin to look at just a move that's going to retard or slow up black's aggression on the queen side. And that's going to be an involved process. So I play A3, one move. Okay. Attack. What? Stopped. Now my opponent plays knight to C6. I'm not going to exchange that knight on C6. Remember, only initiate exchanges when the resulting position favors you. Now, some people say, well, why not play knight to C6, leaving black with the bad bishop? Good question. Glad you asked that. Well, I'm not going to play knight to C6 because by exchanging pieces, black is cramped. The position's closed. My knight at E5 is a beast. In fact, my knight at E5 is a Clydesdale horse. The knight that black has at C6 is a Shetland pony. Okay? I am not going to be the one to initiate the exchange. If he wants the exchange, let him play knight takes knight, and then I have the option of putting what I want on the E5 square. So I play queen to F3. Remember, my attack and my onslaught, my objective is not to trade pieces. My objective is not to be friends. I'm not looking to win pawns. I'm going after who? That's right, the king. Knight to A5, G4. My opponent plays knight to B3, hitting the rook and the knight simultaneously. Remember, just because you have an exchange and just because your opponent has invited you to exchange pieces doesn't mean that you have to exchange pieces on his terms when he's ready for the exchange. No, only exchange pieces when the resulting position favors you. Rook to D1. My opponent plays knight takes knight. I play, yes, king takes knight. In fact, this video and this game bears a striking resemblance, but with the opposite colors from the game we did before. And you know why? Just want to show that some of the tactics and some of the strategies and objectives in both games are the same, not because just solely because it's the same person playing both sides of the board, but primarily because the positions require similar strategies, similar plans. Teaching moment. Choose openings whereby you can reach similar positions whether you're playing white or black. Obviously, the more times you've seen the position, the more familiar you are with the plans and the strategies necessary to bring the game to the desired end. Now, by king to d2, guess what I've done? Just like I did in the game before. Whoa! I have castled by hand almost and immediately connected both rooks with a king move. Knight to e4, check. That is very good. Remember, we don't have to exchange solely because our opponent has given us the opportunity to. No. Hey, man, we exchange on our terms. Thank you, knight check. I'll play king to c1. Thank you very much. After the resulting king to c1, we play, my opponent plays knight to c3. Now, you know what? Mind you, this is game in 3 minutes. We are playing rated game in 3 minutes. And I wonder, people are wondering, how in the world can you process all this information in milliseconds? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I've lost thousands of games from this position, so now I know how to win from rote. Knight takes c3, pawn takes c3, bishop takes a3 check, getting 2 pawns for the piece, and an attack. But I'm going to go right back where I was before. That safe square, the neighborhood, D2, yeah, here we are, right in the police station again. And what did I used to do? Oh, I was a policeman. Okay, we're at home. King goes back to D2. Now white is black is finishing his onslaught on the king side. But unfortunately, it won't be quick enough. G5. Now, the queen, G5 does 2 things. It advances the pawns, and it clears the diagonal for the queen to get to H5. Oh, wow. Oh, no! B4! Oh, man. Looks like black's going to get there first. Not! Pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes pawn. Check. We wanted that bishop redirected anyway. So now, let's go ahead and hide the king. Where? Yes, sir. E2. Now, if you mess with me, too bad. Like if you play bishop to a6, I'm going to move my king to f1 and g2. Because e5 is locked down. e5 is what? Locked down. Let me hear you say locked down. It's locked down! After a3 by my opponent, here comes the lightning bolt. Queen to h5. After queen to h5, g6. And my opponent has seen this position many, many times. And now, this looks like a trap. In fact, it looks like if I play queen to h6, after resulting or followed by rook to e8 and bishop to f8, it looks like the queen is trapped. But remember, I've seen this position and have lost it so many times. I know there is a subtle trap after g6 and queen to h6. Black threatens bishop to f8. We say bring it on. Now I want you to notice, black has now been distracted from his onslaught on the queen side. I no longer have to break dance with my king. He sees the opportunity at rated game in 3 minutes to win the queen. Oh, but is there a surprise or is there a surprise? We play h5, threatening to do what? Open the Rook File. Yes! Good job. Hello, touchdown. Have we seen this before? Yes, Rene, we have seen it before. We saw the other sparkling sacrifice that resulted in checkmate with, sacrificing the queen. But this is different. This is an international master. Yes, but the rules of chess still apply. We play h5, and it looks like our queen's trapped. No, I'm afraid not. Our queen's not trapped. She's where she what? Wants to be. Thank you. Bishop to f8, forcing me to play queen takes h7. Remember, this is rated game 3-0, baby. 3 minutes, not 3 hours. But because I've seen the position and I've played it so many times, it looks like a work of art. Queen takes h7, forcing the king onto the square where I can do what? Open the Rook File. Open it up, baby. With check, pawn takes g6, check, opening the Rook File against the king. The king has to go back to g8, and now pawn takes f7 check. The king steps up. I'm sorry, the king's forced to step up. Now, for those of us who would love to take the rook and make it a knight, make it a queen, make it a Mercedes, make it a Hummer, regroup, take a deep breath, calm down. There are all kinds of people watching the game. Don't get caught up in the need or the compulsion or feel like you have to show off even more by making the pawn capture the rook on e8. Object of the game is not flair, it's not material accumulation, and I would venture to say it's not even seeing how many different pieces you can acquire once the pawn reaches the 8th rank. The object of the game is checkmate. Resist the temptation to show off in front of the crowd and to humiliate your opponent, and play the move that ends the game. Do you see it? I'll give you a couple of seconds. Can you find the tactic that results from opening the rook file against the enemy king? Nobody told black to buy a home on the side of the board where the potential for a rook file to open was great. Do you see the move? That's right. Rook to where h7, check and mate. Yes, even against some of the nation's toughest players, the rules of chess, the fundamentals of tactics, especially tactics that result from opening the rook file against the enemy king, still apply. That's all for us tonight, folks. Wanted and felt the need and compulsion to put this video together quickly. Didn't want to spend too much time on one video, but hey, I kept my word. We did 2 versions, 2 tactics, 2 games, one against a national master, one against an international master, both ending in sparkling checkmates that resulted from opening the rook files against the enemy king. I'm your host, Rene Phillips from the Chess Gym.